It's alive!
The third annual Skankfest returns this summer. Join us all day Saturday and all day Sunday, July 14th and 15th, 2018.
Would you do a chick with a big fat fake ass, or have you?
I haven't, but I would, sure.
Get your pre-sale tickets Monday, April 2nd at skankfestnyc.com. And God help us all.
Connecting sleep to sports isn't easy, but here goes. Mattress Firm is America's neighborhood mattress store, and it should be your goal to check out the deals that they have going on every day. Their mattresses are softer than your rival's team's defense. They get a 10 out of tennis. You're going to love your new bed. Okay, all terrible dad jokes aside, head to mattressfirm.com/podcast and stretch your budget further than a gymnast before a floor routine.
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
This is Believe You Me on the Gas Digital Network.
All right, we're back. Episode 54.5. I don't know. Well, I am Louis J. Gomez, Puerto Rican Rattlesnake. I just texted you, Michael Bisping.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, what is the 0.5 all about? Why is it a 0.5?
Well, technically, because we lost one episode because of the quality. In fact, let me just give a quick...
All right, whatever. Moving on. Listen, no one gives a damn. No one gives a shit. You know, somebody actually messaged me, Lewis, and said, every episode we talk about, like, the quality and technical difficulty. So let's try and not do that. In fact, next week, because we are doing that right now, let's not do that next week. But Monday morning, I just got back from England late last night with my dad. Jan Bisping is in the house. He was going to come on here and sit and talk to us, but he's going to do that next week when he's not quite as tired. Long weekend. Obviously, I was filming MacGyver in Atlanta, straight to London, and then got off the plane, no sleep, straight to a press conference, and then media duties, things like that. Busy time. Friday, I had the pleasure of meeting somebody that goes by the name of KSI, who is a YouTuber that... no offense, I've never heard of him. Great guy, lovely fella. Apparently has like 15, 20 million subscribers on YouTube, which is just crazy. And apparently he boxed another YouTuber, I don't know when it was, a few months ago. 45 million people watched it on YouTube, which is just absolutely insane. Very, very nice guy. Had to take him through some training tips. Apparently he's got another boxing match coming up, so showing him just the absolute basics. If anything, just having a bit of fun for the sake of the cameras and whatnot. Bit of crossover appeal. Do you know anything about this guy or anything about YouTubers in general?
I mean, no, I don't know anything about him. I mean, obviously I know about YouTubers. You know, I'm not living under a rock, but you know, it's kind of a weird thing because as an entertainer and somebody who's spent the traditional route of, you know, going into comedy clubs night after night and trying to make it, quote unquote, then you see all these YouTubers come out and they fucking just jump the line. They immediately get tons of Twitter followers, tons of followers. You know, fair is fair though. You can't hate on them.
No, absolutely. This is the new platform, I guess. I was kind of, you know, not living under a rock, but until my children came along, I didn't really know what they were. And then, I mean, of course, I know what a YouTuber is. You know, a YouTuber, it speaks for itself, but I didn't know that you could be like a celebrity YouTuber. I know they have things like Twitch where people play games online and they generate money and things like that. But there's a lot of these people out there making a lot of money. And my youngest, Lucas, he's obsessed with some of them. One in particular is called Dan TDM. Basically, all he does is play Minecraft or whatever video games and commentates it as he goes along. Same kind of deal. Guy has millions and millions of followers. In fact, he now does live shows. He recently did a tour of the US. He's English. We took Lucas to see him at the live show in Long Beach. I don't know what we expected from a live show from a YouTuber, but basically all it was him sitting on a stage playing fucking Minecraft. You know, that is what he showed.
That was the whole live show.
Why we expected anything different.
Really?
Yeah. And sold out merchandise, T-shirts, mugs, cups, hats, you name it, everything sold out. Good for him. Good for him. It's unreal. So
it's a weird thing because
go on.
Well,
sorry.
I mean, we have the podcast, and it's sort of the same thing. It's in the same category. We are on video talking shit, right? That's all it is, right?
Yeah.
But I almost feel like it's sort of like the Wild West. Like, people don't know how to take this content in, and it's almost like something that it's not really the type of content that would make sense for a live show. A guy who plays video games on a channel, but the fact is there's some agent somewhere that said, hey, you know what? Kids will pay $40, $50 of tickets to come watch you do this. So fuck it. Let's take advantage of them. And I almost look at it's kind of shitty to do to your fans because it's just taking advantage of the fact that people will pay.
Yeah, but that said, you are right that is a fair point, but like, for example, Lucas, he's obsessed with this guy, and he'll get out of bed. If we let him, of course we don't, we're good parents, if we let him stare at his iPad watching videos of this guy all day, he would do that. And to be honest, he does get a lot of enjoyment because we hear him giggling and laughing his head off. So it's kind of hard. After 45 minutes, an hour, we say, okay, Lucas, that's enough. But it's hard because we do actually hear him, as I say, laughing so heartily and having a great time. And if they want to go and see him live in person and the kids get a kick out of it, which he did, he loved it, which is, it's kind of a sad state of affairs.
Yeah.
But he did. He loved the entire thing. And, yeah, there you go.
What's the guy's name again?
KSI. What's that?
The guy's name that Lucas likes.
Dan TDM.
Can we pull some of that up on the screen? I'd love to see what this guy does for the fans.
Yeah, bring it up. It's interesting.
Dan TDM. And it's very strange because, with the podcasting, it is, we have a different type of connection with the fan base. Like, even, you, before you had this podcast or the radio show, people only got a very edited version of who you are. It's what the UFC wanted to see. It's what you kind of wanted to let people see through social media. And in a medium like this, podcasting or being a YouTube star or streaming on Twitch, people are, they seem to be, it's a different type of fan. People that are fans of Michael Bisping through this podcast, it's a completely different type of fan than fans that have been fans of yours for 10 years through watching you fight,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, here's the guy. Hold on.
Let's see. Give us some volume.
We need to hear it.
I'm going to give it a go. No! You guys okay back there? Hey guys, Dan here, and welcome back into another video where today we are back in Fortnite, but this is a very special video because I did a live stream just yesterday and it went to plan, but also kind of didn't at the same time. We've got a Victory Royale, first game on, which I'm going to show you. We also have the pugs in it, which is good.
Yeah, all right, we get it.
Then the pugs decide...
I can't hate,
one of his expressions that he always uses, oh, geez. And I always do the impression to my son, and it drives him fucking crazy. You can't hate on the guy. Good for him, man.
He's doing the same shit we're doing.
As I say, he seems like a nice guy. He's not using bad language. It's very, very PG. And he does a good job, and he is actually entertaining. I mean, if you like sitting and watching people play Minecraft, I guess he's entertaining. So you can't hate on him, and it's just amazing how this, these days the opportunities and the avenues for people to generate money, whether it's playing video games, whether it's commentating whilst you play a video game, doing a podcast, there really is. If you have a bit of a personality these days, you really can go out there and make the most of it and try and generate a following and ultimately an income.
Yeah, and these guys make lots of money. I guarantee you that guy is a multi-millionaire.
Guarantee. Because his videos have like 15, 20 million per episode. So, yeah, definitely making money. So, anyway, KSI, that's what got me onto that. So I went and showed him a few things, showed him an armbar, showed him a Kimura. It's really hard when you're trying to show somebody that's never grappled before in their life how to do jiu-jitsu or whatever, or break down mixed martial arts. It is difficult, especially when you're in a room and there's like 10 cameramen. I knew he was a big deal when I walked in and saw multiple cameramen, multiple sound guys, producers, writers, this, that. I was like, holy shit. Because I landed in London. As I say, I flew in on Wednesday night, finished filming MacGyver, flew in on Wednesday night, landed on the Thursday morning, no sleep, straight to a press conference, then had to go see him. And I was exhausted, and I thought, I'll just go in and I'll just do the bare minimum. But then I realized what a big deal it was. I was like, oh, God, here we go. So we did that. But, yeah, nice guy. And I think he's got a fight coming up soon. And if he's listening, which I highly doubt it, But
No.
apparently, Harrington, did you say he listens to our show?
He does listen. Yeah, Harrington tweeted us. This is another guy rather tweeted at us, and Harrington picked it up. I guess there's a video of one of his YouTube on one of his YouTube videos where he's watching our show, and then he kind of cuts over to the camera. So no, he listens to this, dude. It's you forget that you are like British Superman. They love you over there.
Well, thank you very much. KSI, if you're watching and you have another boxing match coming up, I officially offer my services. I will train you for a fight. There you go. You have a legit, I don't know, celebrity trainer, whatever you want to say. I will train you for your fight. So if you want to do that, give me a shout.
Only if he trains us on how to get 38 million YouTube views.
Yeah, and gives me a slice of the pie.
Yeah, it's a little fucking trade-off, KSI, you fucking taker. So you were in England.
Bastard.
You were in England for the fights. I once again, afternoon fights, I enjoy it. I ended up catching, I watched the whole fight. But I was hanging out with my son in the afternoon. I wasn't completely glued to the television. I watched the main event, and I thought the main event was a lot of fun. I don't know. Everyone's freaking out about Volkov like he's this fucking world beater. Yes, he did beat Werdum, and he definitely, outclassed him. But at the same time, there was nothing about that performance that made me go, oh my God, he's the next fucking heavyweight champion.
It was a decent fight. I enjoyed the fight. I thought that Werdum would win pretty easily, and he started off the fight doing what he needed to do. Obviously, Volkov is 6'7", if I'm not mistaken, and Werdum, obviously, a big advantage on the ground. Werdum is world class when it comes to the ground game, and he got him down, I think, within the first 10 seconds. Got a nice takedown, took him down. But Volkov impressed me with his guard. Werdum, for as good as he is, he couldn't get past the guard of Volkov, and part of that is because of how good Volkov is, and part of that is because he's so tall and those legs are so long.
Yeah.
When legs are really long, obviously, anyone that's listening to this show knows what I mean by the guard. Basically, you're between the legs, you're going to pass the guard. Once you pass the guard, that's when you can start your offense. That's when you can get really good ground and pound, although you can do that from the guard. That's when you can look for submissions. That's when you can get mount, take the back, all this good stuff. It starts with passing the guard. But when the legs are that long, it makes it really hard. Like, for example, typically a person's feet, are just behind your back. But I'm assuming when someone's nearly 7 foot long, they're like way past your back. So it was really, really hard. And he couldn't really get much of anything going on the ground. And the longer the fight went, the more Volkov took over. And, a solid finish in the third, was it? Or
Fourth,
the third or fourth round? Pardon?
4, yeah.
Yeah, fourth round. Caught a leg kick. Dropped to right hand, a couple of punches afterwards. So, yeah, good job. As you say, I wasn't looking at that thinking, wow, here we go. Here's the next guy to challenge Stipe. But a win over Werdum is still a win over Werdum. It was good. I enjoyed it. The crowd liked it. Yeah, good stuff.
I watched it with my girlfriend as well. And she's not a huge MMA fan. She's been to some fights, and she's a pretty casual fan overall. But she made a comment, and it's very funny. I thought it was kind of an interesting casual fan perspective, or maybe just from the average person walking down the street. But she was like, Werdum. She's like, he doesn't look like a fighter at all. The shape that he's in. It was distracting to her. It took her out of the fight.
Really?
Yeah, because Werdum doesn't have that fucking rock solid MMA fighter body. A lot of the heavyweights don't. But he looks a little softer. He looks a little softer than he used to. A few years ago, he got like really fit, it looked like. And he's been looking a little soft. And it's something that my chick mentioned. And I think it's kind of interesting because it is a sport where you want people to take it really seriously, and then sometimes you get some of these guys, bigger guys like Roy Nelson, obviously, and there's been Ben Rothwell, a lot of guys throughout the past. They don't really have that fit, cut fighter look, and it's a little distracting.
Well, that's what you see in the heavyweight division generally in boxing and mixed martial arts. You said he used to look good. Now, of course, the skeptic could say post USADA. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. One thing that
you just did.
No, I'm not. I'm saying the skeptic could say that, and I'm not saying that. You listen. If that's what I thought, that's what I'd say.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's fair to mention in Werdum's, to his credit, shall we say, he's had 4 fights in the last 8 months. That's what my dad told me this morning. And of course, my dad is the knowledge on all MMA. So if that's wrong, don't shoot me. Send an email to my dad. But yeah, I think it's 4 fights in 8 months. That's a busy schedule. And I think he's also hinting at retirement now after that fight as well. He's 40 or 41, so he's no spring chicken. He had the belt. So yeah, listen, well done, Volkov. Unlucky Verdum. I'd like to see him in there again. I don't think he needs to retire. Obviously, before any fight, we have the weigh-ins. And on the weigh-ins on Friday in London, I was the guest fighter after the weigh-ins. And that was great. I got a chance to stand up and speak to everyone in attendance. And that was great, because obviously I wanted to fight on that card. I wasn't able to do that. But I got a chance to still address everybody there, answer some questions, have a laugh. It was fun. The English crowds, they always ask funny questions. They've always had a few drinks or whatever. And it was a good time. And we were there at one point, and I hear this young voice say, "Michael Bisping, can I fight you?" And I'm like, first of all, I'm like, shit, you forget there's little kids in the audience because, drop the odd swear word here and there. And I'm like, oh, crap, that's not good. I said, don't listen to anything I say. But I said, yeah, sure, come up on stage. And then God bless, this kid comes up, Marshall Jackson. I think Jackson was his last name. Marshall Jackson comes up on the stage, and he's an amputee. He's got no arms, no legs. And I think it was meningitis. My apologies if I'm getting that wrong. And they had to remove them when he was a child. But obviously, this guy has, this young man has, disabilities. But that didn't stop him. His spirit was amazing. It really was. He came up there. Like, let me put it like this. My 7-year-old Lucas, there's no way in a million years he would have jumped up onto that stage in front of all those people and, did some shadow boxing and some pad work with me. Never in a million years.
Yeah, not you, but if his YouTube celebrity was up there doing it, he would have done it in a heartbeat.
Well, if Dan TDM was up there, yeah. I don't think he would. I'm serious. He shies away from a lot of that stuff, as do a lot of kids. They don't want to get onto a stage in front of tons of people. And this young man, he got up on there, and he came on the stage, and he had his he's I don't know what you called him. Instead of legs, he had some attachments, and he was amazing. And I held the hands out for him, jab, right hand, left hook. And he got up there, and his attitude was incredible, and I thought it was really, really inspiring. And if anyone that's watching this knows him or his family, if you could send an address, I want to send a little package out to that kid. And I just thought it was amazing. And the crowd really got behind and gave him a huge round of applause. And I thought it was a beautiful moment. The fact that he's been through so much, the fact that, life has dealt him such a shitty card, but he's still smiling, still full of energy and confidence to come up on the stage like that. I really thought it was incredible, and I take my hat off to that young man.
Yeah, very cool. It was one of these moments. I watched it at home. It's one of these things that sort of went viral. And Michael Bisping, you fucking, week to week depends on the fans' mood. Michael Bisping is this week in the heart of the MMA community. Oh my God, he could do no wrong. Michael Bisping is Santa Claus. Next week it'll be another story. But I'm very happy for you there. But I'll tell you right now, the kid actually looked like he had a little bit of technique.
Dude, it was great, honestly, and he made a solid connection. It was amazing, as I say. Again, I'm blown away by the fact. See, here's someone that could have felt sorry for themselves. You know what I mean? Sitting there and this and that. But he's obviously a huge UFC fan. Right. He goes to a lot of the events. He had a belt signed by tons of fighters. And to come up there on the stage and do that again, I know I'm repeating myself here, but I was blown away at his confidence. And I just thought it was an incredible thing and a lesson to a lot of people that really, that maybe feel sorry for themselves, that feel that life have dealt them a shitty hand and they feel sorry for themselves. If you take a look at that, then you realize that maybe things aren't as bad. And with his mind and his belief and his confidence, he can go and achieve great things in life. He really can. Of course, he's got physical disabilities, but the mind is the most powerful weapon. And it seems to me that young Marshall has got an amazing mind, an amazing head on his shoulders, and he can achieve a lot of things. And I think the future is very bright for that young man. Yeah,
and look, the truth is there are a handful of fairly successful mixed martial artists that have had similar conditions. Kyle Maynard being one of them. Nick Newell, who, really fought at a very high level. Was Nick Newell the champion for World Series of Fighting? I believe he was, right?
I think he was.
Or fought for the
but I'm not
title
really
at the very
talking,
least.
in terms of being a fighter, though, Lewis. I'm talking about just using his brain and using his spirit and his personality to achieve other things in life, So,
No.
But yeah, I mean, that was great. So as I say, if anyone knows how to get in touch with him, please send me an email or send BYM an email.
Okay, real quick, let's get back to Mattress Firm. Let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? Everyone knows how important stretching is before an event, and so does Mattress Firm. Except it's your dollar. Your budget stretches further when you're shopping at America's neighborhood mattress store. It is a true home run, and you will have a ball.
They're the head coaches when it comes to mattress expertise. But know this, they're more than just mattress experts. They have a game plan that helps you transform your mattress into a bed, from adjustable bases and sheets to headboards and bedroom decor. They have you literally and figuratively covered up like your favorite cornerback.
So go to mattressfirm.com/podcast to see what deals are happening as I read the sentence to you. They even offer you a 120-night sleep trial to ensure perfection and a 120-night low price guarantee, so you know you paid the perfect price.
Talk about a 1-2 punch, a knockout, if you will. Score big with the perfect bed. Head to mattressfirm.com/podcast to get the play-by-play on how you can monumentally improve your sleep today, tonight, and tomorrow.
Okay, let's get back into it.
Lewis, I've got to say, the one thing that I want to say right now is I'm looking at our screen, and either you've been on the sunbed or I need to get out in daylight more. To be fair, I have spent a lot of time in planes and in hotel rooms, but I look whiter than white, and you look like you've been led on a beach in Jamaica for the last few weeks.
Well, I mean, I hate to break this to you, Michael Bisping, but you are a fucking cracker. You're as white as
cracker.
You're a cracker. You're as white as white could be. You're British. I'm Puerto Rican. I have nice dark golden skin.
No, but you are particularly golden.
Yeah.
Don't lie. You went to Jamaica. You liked the effect of the extra little bit of sun you've got, and you've been down to the tanning salon, Lewis.
No, please.
Come on, don't bullshit me, bro. Don't bullshit me. That's because listen, the camera doesn't lie, and I'm seeing a distinct fucking glow from you, my friend.
Yeah.
It's like the sun is shining at your end, and over here, I'm in drizzly, rainy England, but I'm not. I'm in California.
Yeah,
but you're right. I do need to get out more. That's for sure.
Yeah, dude. Your problem is you went to England during March, which has no sun. I went to Jamaica. It's just the decisions that we're making in life.
Yeah, and the decision to continue going to the tanning salon when you get back.
Yeah,
That's right. You live in New York. That's known for its sun.
Have you ever been to the tanning salon?
Of course I have.
You have?
Of course. Listen, I learned a long time ago, nobody cheers for the pasty guy, okay? Sponsors don't want to sponsor the pasty guy. You look at Jose Aldo fighting someone like Dennis Seaver. Seaver's fucked. Nobody's cheering for him. And it's nothing to do with the fact that he's German, okay?
Yeah.
It's to do with the, No, nobody cheers for the pasty guy. You got to have a little bit of color, and of course, you train, you get in shape for your fight. Again, a little bit of color accentuates that, gives you a little bit of shadowing on the abs and whatnot. So yeah, in my defense, I've been traveling on a lot of planes recently and operating on not much sleep. I got in late last night. I got up early today, a bit of jet lag. I flew from Atlanta to London, 2 days there, straight back. So yeah. I need to have a workout. I need to get some blood cells pumping in this body.
Yeah, I'm just back to the gym now, hard. I started doing a bodybuilding workout again. I'm trying to put on some muscle mass again. I'm sick of being a fat fuck.
Being a what?
A fat fuck.
Oh, you don't look like an FF.
No, I'm not that bad right now. But that's the thing. Like, we talked about this before on the show. It's like, I know what I need to do. If I were to step outside of myself right now as like a coach, like a life coach, and give myself advice, I would know what I would need to do in order to get in the best shape of my life. And I'm just not doing it. And it's the same thing, you know. You know exactly what you need to do to be in the absolute best shape of your life. You would tell yourself what to do it. And if you were to kind of break down everything you're doing wrong, it's very easy to see why I'm not.
Yeah, well, generally, that's what I've been trying to do. We spoke about this last week. I'm trying to stay in good shape. I've been working out twice a day lately. I've started my day with a run, later in the day lifting weights. I haven't actually been getting to an MMA gym and doing any kind of boxing or wrestling or jiu-jitsu or anything like that. I've been traveling a lot, but one thing you can always do is run. So that is something I've been trying to focus on. Another fight at the weekend. I don't think you saw it, did it? Did you? The co-main event between Jimmy Manuwa and Jan Blachowicz?
I did. I just didn't watch it with a very watchful eye. It was a close fight, right?
Yeah, it was a good fight. It was a great fight. In my opinion, that was the one. In some ways, that should have been the main event. You know, Jimmy Manuwa is a local London boy. He walked out. There was a lot of passion for him from the crowd. which wasn't the same when you had a Russian versus a Brazilian. No disrespect to either of them, but not exactly local hometown heroes. Jimmy walked out. Obviously, that fight was a rematch. Blachowicz lost to Jimmy by decision the first time out, and looked like Jimmy was going to do well, but he got caught with some good shots. I think Blachowicz won the first, Jimmy won the second. Third round wasn't overly active, but Blachowicz landed some good jabs. Landed a lot of good jabs and got a takedown at the end of the third round, and that was hard. He lost by decision. But I know that Jimmy Manuwa's children were in the audience, and that's always hard, man. It's always hard. After the weigh-ins, I was at the hotel, and Jimmy walked through, and he had his family with him, his wife and his children, etc. And I met his daughters, and I did a picture with them, and just the most beautiful children you've ever met in your life. I mean, they looked like models. They were so well-dressed. It was unbelievable. I was almost ashamed of my own children. I was like, right, okay, if we're going out in public, we are going fucking shopping, okay? You're going to get some designer clothes, because look at Jimmy Manuwa's kids, man. You should be ashamed of yourself. They did. They looked like catwalk models. They were the best-looking, best-dressed children you've ever seen in your life, and I think it was the first time they'd been to one of his fights. So that sucks. I know that feeling. I've been there myself. You always go out and you always say, I'll never lose in front of my children. I would rather die. But of course, when you're fighting another world-class opponent
who also has children
down like that.
He's also telling his children that he's never going to lose in front of them as well, that he would rather die.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's what I'm saying, So, I mean, good news is it went to a decision. It was a close fight. No shame to either of them. I thought it was a fantastic fight, and Jimmy will be back, But, yes, that was the main event and the co-main event. What else is on your mind, Lewis?
Nothing much. I mean, it's really been a fairly uneventful time in MMA. Here's the problem with the show. When you do the show as often as we do it, look, there's more news about Floyd Mayweather and about maybe him being in the UFC, but is it really news? Like, how many times can we go over the hypothetical, oh my God, Floyd Mayweather might fight in the UFC at one point, Well,
this weekend, no, you're absolutely right. And, Mayweather, McGregor, they are the big news generators. But isn't it Ferguson versus Khabib this weekend?
No, that's April 7th in Brooklyn. Are you coming to that in Brooklyn?
What am I even thinking of then? Why did I think that was this weekend?
No. Is there a fight this weekend, Harrington? No, right? Next one is April 7th, which is going to be Khabib versus Ferguson in Brooklyn, which is fucking my hometown. Are you coming to New York City for this or no?
I don't think so right now, but I would love to. And if I can make it happen, I will.
Can you get me tickets anyway?
I don't think so. Pardon me?
Can you get me tickets anyway?
I can put in an email. That's about as best I can do. I could put you on the list with everybody else, seeing as you put me live on air, on YouTube.
Well, Bruce Buffer gives Ralph his tickets every single time.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I can email someone and say, hey, I need some tickets for a really, really good close friend of mine. But you've just publicly put it out there. So they'll say, oh, hold on a minute. They're just for Lewis, you guy that you do a podcast with.
I'm a really close friend.
Me privately and said, yeah, but if you said text me privately, Mike, give me some tickets, I'd be like, yeah, leave it with me. But I can't put it out there that if anyone just says, Mike, grab me a couple, I'll do that.
Well,
so
obviously,
put me in an awkward position now. So by that, I'm going to say I probably can't get you tickets now, Lewis.
Wink,
you just
wink.
shot yourself in the foot.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We'll talk about it after the show.
Yeah, exactly. They're not for you. They're for somebody else.
Here's what's fucked up, though. Look. Here's the truth, Michael Bisping. Sure, me and you have only been in the same room like 5 times in our lives, but how many people do you talk to this extensively, this in depth, every single week for a couple hours at a time? It's a different type of relationship we have.
Not even with my wife.
No.
Not even with my wife. You're right. Okay. All right. Well, 2 tickets are in the mail. They're definitely in the mail, Lewis.
Done. And it's going to be for me and Shannon. Right, Shannon?
I'll take it.
She's ready to go.
All right.
Ready to fucking go. Sorry, what do you think about this, though? Floyd Mayweather said that he will make the UFC deal happen. He rates his kicks a 4 out of 10, his wrestling a 7 out of 10, and his hands a 100 out of 10. Talking shit, or where there's smoke, there's fire?
When did he say this? Where did he say this? Give me the details.
Let me look for the context. This is in an interview somewhere.
All right. First of all, 4 out of 10 on his kicks. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Just because he might have thrown a kick on a punching bag here and there doesn't mean you can do that in real life. It's a very, very different thing. Like, I'll work with Jason Perillo, and it takes a long time for what you're doing in a gym on the pads to then transcend to sparring, and then from the sparring for that to transcend to the fight. It takes a long time. So just because Mayweather stood in front of a bag and, sorry, the dogs are just doing something. Just because Mayweather stood in front of a bag whilst he's been hitting it and the odd time here and there throwing a kick doesn't mean that he can do that in sparring or, as I say, in a fight. So he's kind of kidding himself a little bit there. I'm sure anyone that stands in front of a bag as much as Mayweather has done, now and again has thought, hold on, what is this kicking? And attempted to throw a kick, I'll guarantee he has. But it's so different. And especially when you throw a kick against a real person and you connect with an elbow or somebody checks it, the worst thing you can do when you try and leg kick somebody, they block it because that fucking hurts. Yeah. They always say, if you're fighting somebody that has really good leg kicks, obviously you want to work on your blocks. But if you block it really well once, they won't throw another kick again the whole fight. Yeah. Because you can break, as we saw, classic example, Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman, snapped his leg. Sometimes you don't have to snap it, but it will really, really bloody hurt. And they think, you know what? I'm not going to do that again.
You don't think that Mayweather is, I look at him as being rich and probably bored enough that in secret right now, in some secret fucking garage somewhere, he has like an octagon built. He's bringing in training partners, and he's really testing the waters to see if it's even feasible. Because you got to figure if he's going to do it, he's not going to do what James Toney did, which is, James Toney was very open, like, I'm not even going to train MMA. I'm not training kicks. I'm going to knock this guy out in one punch and collect a paycheck. Mayweather seems to, at the very least, have a little bit of respect for the sport. And also, I mean, he's got nothing but time and money. Why wouldn't he be training right now and bringing in world-class grapplers and really seeing what he could do? It's the same thing as going to the gym, no?
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I mean, I say this every time we talk about him. I can't understand why he would want to do this. I really can't. I mean, he's got tons of money. He's had an amazing career. I guess I do respect the fact that he's looking for new challenges and he wants to see if he can cross over into MMA and be successful. And if he applies himself, then he can. But to go back and say that he would give himself a 7 out of 10 on his wrestling, I got to say, hey, Lewis, me and you say some pretty funny things on this podcast, but that is the biggest joke I've ever heard in my fucking life. Floyd Mayweather gives himself a 7 out of 10 on his wrestling. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That is so naive.
The type of person
he has to be lying. That has to be bullshit.
Maybe. Look, here's the thing. He said
he's an idiot.
He said it to TMZ, right? So they put the camera in your face, and you talk shit sometimes. You're just in a moment.
Really?
We're on this fucking show.
No, TMZ put a camera in your face and you play it up and you talk some shit. Never done that.
Well,
never done that.
You figured he has to say something, and Floyd Money Mayweather is the guy who gets on camera, talks shit, creates moments. So obviously he has to say something. But in a weird way, I kind of think where there's smoke, there's fire. They're talking about this way too much. And to talk about why Floyd Money Mayweather would want to do this, I kind of compare it to President Trump. Why would Donald Trump, who's a billionaire, who, owns multiple businesses, hotel chains, super successful business person, why would he ever want to go and become the president, which is considered one of the most stressful jobs in the world? Because if you're looking for that type of greatness, there's something in you, and I don't think it's about any one specific thing. I don't think Floyd Money Mayweather's greatness that he was looking for was necessarily in boxing. That's where he found it. But there's something about you that pushes you to strive that far. And I think it's like a narcissistic type of quality where he wants to see that if he truly is the best fighter in the world, because that has been sort of the age-old thing. MMA guys are fighters. Boxers are boxers.
Hold on. First of all, a lot of things to say. Boxers are fighters. They are. Boxers are fighters. Don't tell me that if you've ever been in a boxing match, you ever sparred in a boxing match, you've ever done 8 rounds in a boxing gym. Boxers go out there and they fight, and it was a nice line of McGregor. And to a certain degree, it is correct that he operates within a limited skill set. But that limited skill set has been around for hundreds of years when MMA didn't exist. And I don't think it's fair to discredit boxers by saying that they're not fighters, okay? They do fight. I get it. I understand the comparison. And mixed martial arts is definitely a truer form of combat and definitely is the only real true form of combat. But boxers, you can't discredit them like that. Now, what I wanted to say, Floyd Mayweather is probably the Donald Trump of MMA, or McGregor Mayweather is the Donald Trump of MMA, because if you turn on the news out here, it's just Trump, 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 Trump. Why? Because everybody wants to see the things that he's saying, and it gets views, it gets clicks, and all the rest of it. And in a world where MMA is definitely content driven, but there's not a lot of content right now, you drop a story about Floyd Mayweather, boom, click, 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 click. So you're right. He was just saying that to get clicks or hits or whatever TMZ were. But, he probably was just talking shit, because there's no way that he is a 7 in wrestling. He's not even a 3. He's not a 2 in wrestling. I guarantee he's never wrestled live in his life.
Harrington just sent me a rumor. It's been rumored that Mayweather has been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for nearly a decade, back when he first retired in 2009.
Listen, Harrington, I want to say, this is a joint podcast, okay? Stop just fucking sending Lewis the good shit so he seems informed and knowledgeable and all the rest of it. If you're doing research on behalf of this show, it's a two-way street, my friend. Hey, when you send the email or the text, make it a group text. Make it a group fucking email. Don't, Harrington sent me this. Harrington sent me that.
Hey.
Otherwise, I could say, well, apparently Harrington said that Floyd Mayweather has been training jiu-jitsu. So
it's not like I took credit for it myself. I gave Harrington credit. I didn't go.
And I would do the same.
Yeah.
I would give Harrington the credit. Harrington, strike one.
And also, I told you to get on the Google chat multiple times with me and Harrington.
What is Google Chat? I don't have Google Chat.
Yes, you do, because we used to be on the Google Chat during the SiriusXM show.
No, that was Facebook Messenger.
You are right, bitch.
Yes, I am.
You are right.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah, not on Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, let's talk about one of our incredible sponsors, which is BetDSI.com. Michael Bisping, BetDSI has been so good to us and the fans of this show. Go use them. Even if you don't spend money with them, they really hook it the fuck up. And I love BetDSI for this, Michael Bisping.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, you hear about us, we talk about BetDSI.com every single week, and they are a great supporter of the show, and therefore we support them. But you should support them also, because they are legitimately, such a fantastic site. And of course, the deal that they offer you, the listener, through our show is fantastic. You know the deal if you listen to the show. Use the promo code ME25 just for registering. You get $25 plus whatever you bet. They will triple. So,
wow.
$100 becomes $300, so on, so forth. A+ rated on all sport books websites. Been in business over 20 years. You can bet on anything. And if you bet on sports, it's always more fun to watch, We don't need to tell you that. You're sports fans, you're MMA fans. Stick a few dollars on, and of course, it makes it more interesting. Big fight coming up soon. We've got the big rematch, Jan Jacek versus Rose Namajunas. And I can't believe this, but Namajunas is actually the underdog going into this one. So if my advice, use the promo code, go to betdeside.com, use the promo code ME25 when you register. You'll get $25, and I'd put some money on as well. On Rose Namajunas.
This is a little bit of a fact, Michael Bisping. BetDSI is offering pretty much the best odds you can get for betting on Namajunas as an underdog. She's plus 150, which basically means if you don't understand the gambling, if you bet $100, you net $150 profit. Okay, so if you put that free $25 down, what you're going to do is you're going to basically net $37.50 that you get. That's netting it overall. So throw it on Namajunas. I think she's going to win. I think in Jacek, I think she's incredible, but I think that Namajunas, the way she beat her in that last fight, I think is going to get in her head. I think also once somebody becomes a UFC champion, you're going to see the absolute best version of them. And I think we've only begun to see Rose Namajunas. I will also say on the Ferguson Nurmagomedov fight as well, Ferguson is a plus 200 underdog. That's kind of attractive as well. I know that everyone's saying Khabib is the next coming of Jesus, but Tony Ferguson is one of the toughest motherfuckers on the planet. I think that's a very attractive bet.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an attractive bet, because Tony Ferguson, I understand him being the underdog, but he can pull off a submission, a Darce choke from the top, from the bottom. Of course, he has many submissions as well. And he uses his elbows really good. One thing you can use elbows from against someone is underneath. If Khabib takes him down, if he's been drilling them. Look at me against GSP. I cut him up really well, and Tony is the master of the elbows. So that's a good bet. I personally, I understand Khabib being the favourite, but if you want to, make a risky bet and get some good odds, some money on Tony Ferguson, is a smart risk. It's a calculated risk. So go to betdsi.com, use the promo code ME25, $25 just for registering, and 200% bonus match on your money. You know the deal. We love betdsi.com, but let's get on with the show. So, yeah, Floyd Mayweather, I don't know if he does it. He's out of his mind. But let's have a look at these notes. What have we got? So that was that. Juan Volkov. What do you think, Lewis? Which one of these should we attack?
None of these are fucking good. Harrington, your notes really stink today, dude.
No, they are. But to be fair, there isn't a lot going on. We did have UFC London at the weekend.
Let's see. Anderson Silva, there may be a chance to fight for the UFC title again.
What? No. Where'd you see that?
I just read that on your favorite website, MMAmania.com.
Why do you keep mentioning that website? Don't do it, Lewis. I don't want to get into this because we're giving him more fuel. Please.
He told Globo Esporte.
Just say from our website.
From a website. He says, I'm happy with everything that I've conquered. Silva told Globo Esporte, nothing is forever. I still have my UFC contract, and I'm very happy with it. Only time will tell what's next. I'm feeling well. I train every day. I'm a healthy guy. Waiting is all there is to it. I'm still alive in the division, and there may be a chance to fight for the title once again. He turns 43 in April. That's not a crazy thought, though. Anderson Silva, for him to say that Anderson Silva has one or two big wins away from a title fight always. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're absolutely right. But that statement was the most generic, bland, magnolia statement you could ever make in your life. Do you know what I mean? That was just like, yeah, I feel good. You never know. That is not newsworthy, Lewis. That is not newsworthy. Anderson Silva, he's going to be banned for 2 years at least. 2 years at least, if not 4. Really, it should be 4 years. That's using USADA's guidelines. But, a good lawyer can sidestep those guidelines, it appears, these days, So, yeah. I mean, you're right. If Silva came back and beat 2 good guys, he'd fight for the title. And to be honest, if I ran the UFC and Silva beat 2 top 10 guys, I'd put him in a title fight straight away because that would be a huge storyline. And he does have that ability. He seems to have aged pretty well, whatever conflicts he's had with USADA. That aside, he's still very, very capable, and he's still young. He looks after himself. He's still see him out there training, pushing himself, doing martial arts. So that is a possibility. But honestly, I think the UFC have moved on, and by the time he serves his suspension, if he's wise, he should go off into the sunset, look after his family, and talk fondly about the great memories he's got from MMA.
Yeah. I gotta say, man, all hatred aside, or I shouldn't say hatred because you guys, you don't hate him.
Hatred? Who hates?
No, you don't.
You hate Anderson Silva?
You don't hate. I will say though,
I don't hate him at all.
I'm still like a weird fan of the old school, and part of me wants to see him still fight in a weird way. I don't know. I have an affinity toward these older guys like George St. Pierre, Chuck Liddell, Anderson Silva. That's when I truly fell in love with the sport. So it's when these guys, when Chuck Liddell says he wants to come back and fight, the giddy fanboy in me goes, "Oh my God, that's fucking awesome." But now when you get a little closer to it and I start to understand the sport a little bit more, it's how could Chuck Liddell possibly even compete after this much time off? He was getting knocked out a lot. I think he got knocked out 4 of his last 5 fights, something like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely something like that. But the argument that you could make, and you're absolutely right, Lewis, if Chuck Liddell came back, then the obvious train of thought would be, well, he's had so much time away. He lost 4 out of his last 5, so therefore he certainly wouldn't be able to compete. But there is a part of me that thinks Chuck was so good in his prime, and of course he's past his prime now. But you could make an argument that because he's had so much rest, so much time away, he's let his brain fully recover, all the concussions gone, all the knockout, whatever lasting effects there was, maybe that's healed up, and he's got that thirst for it. You could say that maybe he was overtrained, maybe he was doing too much, maybe he'd lost a little bit of the passion, was there for the money. I'm just saying, playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying these things are true. I'm not saying these are statements or facts. I'm saying playing devil's advocate, you could make that argument. And he does look to be in good shape these days. You see him on Instagram or whatnot, and he's pushing himself in the gym and looking good. Could Chuck Liddell come back and still beat a lot of fighters? I'll say yes. I'll say there's a lot of guys on the UFC that I think Chuck Liddell could beat. Could he go out there and beat the best of the best, the best guys in the division? No. He could beat some of the mid-tier guys, though. I would say that.
Let me see. I'm going to pull up right now the top 10 light heavyweight MMA fighters.
See, and the problem is with light heavyweight,
yeah,
you know, that used to be like the glamour division of the UFC, but it's shaky for talent these days. I think it's the top 5 is good. Then after that, it goes down. I mean, what have you got? You got DC, obviously. What's the top 5? Well, go on, give me the top 10.
I'm going to go down from 10 down to 1. Tell me who you think Chuck Liddell could beat today.
Ooh.
Okay, Chuck Liddell versus Mauricio Shogun Hua today.
See, that's a classic fight.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever fought, and that's a fight that I don't know about pay. I'd pay if it was on a card to see. I mean, that's an old school MMA fans' dream fight. Shogun versus Chuck.
Yeah, how didn't that fight happen? No, it did happen.
It did?
Yeah,
Did
he beat
knock
him.
out?
Yeah, he knocked him out in the first round. UFC 97 Redemption.
All right, okay. Haven't been there, done that. Okay,
I would understand Chuck not remembering the fight, but how did we not remember this fight? Let's go to number...
I did remember it, though, because as soon as you said that, I said, did he knock him out? Yeah. So, all right, okay.
Next.
Go ahead, 9.
Number 9. Where did my... here we go. Number 9 is Ilir Latifi.
See, that's a tough one. Latifi just knocked out cold and hard. Who was it, OSP? Yes. And Latifi's he's a stocky little bastard. He's as stocky as they come, not to mention strong as hell, great wrestler. I don't think Chuck will be taking him down.
Chuck would not respect his hands at all. He would come in with his hands down thinking he's going to knock him out, and Latifi would knock his head off his shoulders.
Yeah. I don't want to turn this into being disrespectful to Chuck Liddell, because Chuck Liddell is one of the pioneers, true greats, godfathers, Mount Rushmore type people of MMA, so I'm not trying to disrespect him. There was no plan in this. You said, let's go from 10 to 1 and see if Chuck could beat any. Totally off the cuff, totally not rehearsed, didn't even plan it. We've already said no to 10. Now we're saying no to 9. I'm assuming it's going to be no as you get into 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That can only be deemed as disrespectful to Chuck Liddell. So I'm saying, let's hit the abort button on this game now.
It's not disrespectful to Chuck. Let me tell you why.
For the sake of fun, no. Let's go to 7, 8.
We're going to go to 8 right now. But the reason it's not disrespectful to Chuck is because we both agree that Chuck Liddell could compete with everybody that we're naming right now. This isn't like fucking.
All right, let's do this. 10 to 15.
Okay, this is a little bit more. Here, pull up 10 to 15, Harrington, if you can.
Because that's what I said. I said he might not be able to beat the top 10 guys.
Okay,
but
let's go to 10 to 15.
A lot of people on the roster, remember?
Okay, all right, this makes sense. And that was also all of MMA. This is the UFC rankings. Number 10, Patrick Cummins.
He could land a good shot. I mean, Patrick Cummins is a great wrestler, though. I don't know. See, that's a tricky one. I like Patrick. We train together. We've trained together many times. I've either got to disrespect Patrick Cummins or I've got to disrespect Chuck Liddell. I'm on the fence. Give me number 11. If that was 11, give me 12.
Tyson Pedro.
Again, it's Pedro. Pedro is got a bright future ahead of him. Yeah, he could compete. He could compete with a Tyson Pedro. You know, he definitely. That wouldn't be a fight that you would say, oh, shit, Chuck shouldn't be coming out of retirement fighting that guy. Tyson Pedro, though, could definitely beat Chuck Liddell as well. You know, I mean, for sure. Tyson Pedro, I think he's going to have a very, very bright, long future ahead of him. Probably going to make himself some nice money, get himself a huge following. I could even be a champion one day, you know. So, yeah, vanilla, generic, bland, on the fence answer there. 13. Give me someone that I'm not a fan of.
What about Gadzimurhad Antigulov?
Oh, we go way back. Who?
He's number 14. Gadzimurhad Antigulov.
No, you're lying. That's a made-up name.
I'm trying to. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Is he UFC?
Yeah, oh, he's in the UFC.
Never heard of him. Chuck Liddell would smoke that guy.
Oh, he'd fucking murder him. He'd eat his children for breakfast.
What's his name again? How do you say it?
Gadzimurhad Antigulov.
Gadzimurhad Antigulov. I can't see it in front of me. Yeah, man. Not a good fighter. He hasn't looked too good lately.
What if Chuck comes back at 185? That's the move.
What do you mean back at 185? He never thought at
Well, he
185.
could come back. He could return to fighting at 185 pounds.
I don't think that's a good idea either, because that's not easy. Because obviously it's harder to make 185, and the harder the weight cuts, that has an effect on your performance, and it has an effect on your ability to take punches to the brain. You know. So I don't think that would be a smart idea. Let's abandon this game. I don't like this game. We're either disrespecting Hall of Famer Chuck Liddell, or we're disrespecting current UFC fighters. You know what I'm saying? So, Chuck, if you come back, God bless. I don't think you should, but if you did, I would watch, and I'd be very, very intrigued.
As would I. All right, real quick. Let's because we have to. I know this has to be a little bit shorter of a show. Because
we do apologize. I'll explain why. I did a movie last year, Triple Threat, in Thailand. We're going to do some reshoots. I was filming MacGyver, went straight to London, got back late last night with my old man. As soon as I finished this, I got to rush up to LA. We're going to reshoot some of the fight scenes. We're going to add a couple of scenes. So Triple Threat, starring myself, Eco Ways, Tony Jaa, Tiger Jen, Michael Jai White, Scott Adkins. Going to be an amazing martial arts movie. But I've literally got to get up there. I pushed it back. They wanted me there at 10 a.m. I pushed it back because of the podcast. And so they said, okay, 3 p.m. I'm not going to make it to the other side of Los Angeles by 3 p.m. Yeah. It's 1:22 now. That is not going to happen. But still, that's why we're going to make today's episode a little shorter.
But we're going to do an extra one next week. Well,
there you go.
I'll be in LA next week. We're going to do a couple while we're in town.
Yep.
You know, so I know Mickey Gall's in town as well. He wants to come on the show.
Oh, nice.
So
okay,
we're gonna do an extra podcast next week. We know this one's a little bit shorter than normal, so we do apologize. I want to say really quick before we get into these questions, if you guys love the show, you should know that we have 54 episodes available on demand whenever you guys want to watch them. We just started doing the video show maybe 10 episodes ago. So every episode we've ever done on demand, when you guys want to watch it, if you subscribe at GasDigitalNetwork.com. GasDigitalNetwork.com is the website. Use the promo code BYM. You get a 14-day free trial. You get you save $1 per month, so $6 a month. You get access to this show on demand. Plus, you have 16 other podcasts on the network, over 3,000 hours of amazing on-demand content, including Legion of Skanks, Bruce Buffer's It's Time, the Roast Masters, which is the roast battle show that I host here in New York City. Everything. It's so much fun. So get the free trial. Check it out. Tell me you guys love it. And all that good stuff. So, Harrington, send me over some questions when you get a moment. If you guys want to join the conversation, it's easy. Shoot us an email, bym at gasdigitalnetwork.com. BYM for Believe You Me at gasdigitalnetwork.com. We choose a few questions every week to end the show with, and we answer them as honestly as possible. You can tell when we're lying. You'll see. When me and Bisping are lying, it's very obvious. So,
I'll be honest, I've never lied on this podcast.
You just lied there. Do you see that?
I've never lied on this podcast. I'm serious. I don't lie. I don't go through my life telling lies. I may, I don't lie. I don't lie on the podcast.
You said stop yourself.
Sometimes I'm like, I might skate around the question or an answer or a topic.
Lie by omission. Sometimes you'll leave stuff out.
I'll be like, and like sidestep.
Okay.
But I won't full on bullshit, Lewis.
We're real ass on this show. This is from Gareth. This is, first of all, I want to say whoever's choosing the questions needs a firm slap in the face. Asking
Correct.
Bisping if he's left-handed or right-handed over the question I sent last week is ludicrous.
Ludicrous.
Ran over. Hi, this is Gareth, born and raised in Cumbria, living in Kent.
Not far from where I'm from.
Fucking Southerners, he says.
Southern Fairies.
Yeah. My question, did you intentionally throw the illegal knee at Jorge Rivera? That guy fully deserved it, and he's a bellend. Thank you.
Bellend.
He
is a bellend, or was a bellend. He was a bellend. He's probably not now. I wish Jorge Rivera, El Conquistador, the best. He's a Puerto Rican motherfucker as well, Luis. There you go. One of your homers up in the house.
I was rooting for him against you.
Boom. No, I didn't knee him in the face. Well, listen, here's the thing. Of course, it was intentional. I threw the knee and it landed. But did I look and go, his knees are on the floor. He is a grounded opponent. I am going to consciously throw an illegal blow. No, that wasn't the mind frame. My mind frame was this motherfucker's been talking shit for a long time and I'm going to smash his face in. And I'm going to do that until the referee says stop. And then at some point he was on the floor and I threw a knee. Okay? Deal with it. Chat shit, get banged. We've been over this many, many times. Chat shit, get banged. Okay?
Am I crazy? I feel like in life, if there is something to take advantage of, whether it's the rules in playing Monopoly or if you're fucking... You know, I always say this, like, if I'm in the supermarket, I'll fucking, you know, I'll drink a protein shake and then I'll go to the counter and pay for everything. And if they don't mention the fact that I have a protein shake in my hands that I'm drinking, I'll just forget a lot of the time.
You stick that empty protein shake to the back of behind all the full ones. Don't lie.
Why not?
Take it to the checkout and go, oh, so I drank this one.
So my point of the matter is that I'm not morally above taking advantage of the gray area in life. So you should. If you're not taking advantage of the gray area, I always say this, people give shit to Donald Trump about not paying his taxes. If you're not taking advantage of every tax break available to you, you're a fucking fool. You're a fool. Simple as that.
So what are you saying? What did I take advantage of?
I'm saying is that you took advantage of the head of household tax break by kneeing Jorge Rivera illegally in the face when he was on the ground.
I didn't do it on purpose. I mean, of course, as I say, I kneed him in the face on purpose, but I didn't blatantly break the rules. I didn't purposely break the rules, but as I say...
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Next question.
Let's go to, this is Dylan. He says, hi, Mike and Lewis. Big fan of the podcast. A little bit of an ass kisser, but I like that. I don't mind that.
Yeah, we don't mind it. We don't mind it. It's good.
Yeah. I have a question for Mike. Leon Edwards is a fellow Brit who had huge success on the weekend with a KO victory over Sobata. However, I have realized within his 18-fight career, he has only fought outside of Europe twice. Both are losses. Do you feel a quote-unquote home advantage affects your performance, or do you believe this is simply a coincidence? Lewis, what's your opinion on this, and do you feel like working in New York is easier than perhaps traveling? Great question, Dylan.
Oh, good question, Dylan. So it's a double-edged sword. Fighting in your backyard, your hometown, whatever you want to call it, is great, and it does get you pumped up. It gets you excited, but it also brings a lot of pressure, you know. And ultimately, when you're in there, the crowd being behind you doesn't really matter that much. Now, one could argue that and say, well, Bisping, you're undefeated in the UK. I've never lost a fight in the UK. I don't think that's. I mean, partly it's because I feel I fight better when I'm at home. I do. I feel that, you know, I know there's going to be a lot of pressure, and I apply myself like that in training camp. But that doesn't mean I don't apply myself in training camp all the time, because I always do. But it's a very special thing for me, especially now when I live in America, to go back to the UK to fight. I want to make sure I bring my A game and I leave no stone unturned. But I do that anyway, so I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say. But the crowd does benefit you when they're on your side like that. But I've also had it on the flip side where I've been in America and I've been booed, you know, viciously, and I've still performed well as well. So, I mean, it's a difficult one. It's always nice to have the crowd on your side. I think also if you're going out there and you're fighting internationally, I mean, you said he's never lost inside the UK, but he lost twice on the European scene. You know, maybe there was just the matchups, you know. Sometimes you can't win a fight regardless of where it happens, regardless of whether or not it's at home or it's in Russia or wherever. You know, sometimes you will always lose to that guy, and you'll always beat that guy. Yeah. You know, irrelevant of where the fight takes place. You know, and I think maybe that was just a coincidence. Leon, by the way, did have a great performance at the weekend. Looked sensational against Sabata. Really did. Nearly finished him in the first 30 seconds with a great strike. But, yeah, good fight, great question. Difficult one to answer as well. But it's all down to one's own mindset. Lewis, comedian's perspective, please.
Well, yeah, I think you kind of nailed it right there. It's about your mindset. And I think that there's no doubt about it. There are I should say this, in anything, when you're trying to perform at a high level, right, whether it's physically or psychologically doing comedy, you know, I've done comedy on TV a few times. I've been under pretty high pressure situations. Any psychological advantage that you have, anything that's going to get you motivated and in your head and ready to fucking fire on all cylinders, there's going to be an obvious benefit. And, you know, maybe it depends on who you are. Like, for me, I know that performing in front of, I remember my ex-girlfriend, my son's mother, her father was in town once, and him watching me perform stand-up comedy really got in my head. Like, it fucked me up, and I was very like, you know, my energy wasn't the same, and I didn't do as well as I would have done because I was kind of overthinking the words I was using. This is a girl that I'm in love with. This is her dad. Seeing me talk about kind of like fucked up subject matter, it didn't really help me in that sense. You know, so I guess it's really both ways. Some people might say, "Hey, dude, my family's in the crowd. I'm super nervous. That throws me off." I'm sure there's some fighters who would never let their kids watch them fight because that would fuck them up. They're like, my kids are watching me get into a fight right now, and that's going to put me off. And then there are other people who look at it as this huge motivating factor. And I think it's about how you use your motivation. Some people like to pray before they go on stage or before they go into the cage. Some people like to, you know, they wear their lucky color shorts or their lucky underwear. There's, you know, that placebo effect, that's a very real thing. And if you feel lucky and you feel psychologically ready, it's only going to be an advantage for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you just said there, you know, it can be massively beneficial, but it can also be the other way. You know, it can also be a hindrance. It can also be a negative thing because if, for example, let's use fighting, you're walking out into an arena, let's say there's 20,000 people there, and they're all cheering and they're all wanting you to win, or the high percentage of them. Some people, if they can't handle that correctly, that can have a massive negative effect. They get so nervous and they just get owned by it. Fortunately, that's where experience comes into play. That's why you build to these situations, you know, and sometimes, you know, certainly in MMA, you see guys maybe going a step too far when they're not ready for that kind of thing, you know, so that's why you got to take it baby steps. Start at smaller arenas, work your way up, you know. But then you see sometimes guys have only had 6-7 fights and they're fighting in front of 20,000 people. That's daunting. That can really consume you. Should we do one more?
One more, and then we'll wrap it up. Thanks so much for the questions. Hi, Mike and Lewis, big fan of the pod. My question is for Mike. You have said Jimmy Manuwa had worked ridiculously hard for this fight with Blachowicz, but from what I saw in his interviews, I felt that he was overlooking him regularly, calling out a rematch with Volkan. I thought this was the same in his previous fight against Volkan, where he constantly called out DC but overlooked Volkan. Both obviously are fights he lost. How do you feel about this, and do you think you should always look for what's next, or is it one step at a time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, they always say never overlook your opponent. And I'm sure he wasn't doing that. And I did say he was training hard from what I saw on Instagram and social media. And we shared the same manager. He was pushing himself, doing everything he can, making the sacrifices, flying out to Sweden to train with Gustafsson and his whole team there. So certainly, he was certainly doing everything he needed. So he wasn't overlooking him. Now, I understand why he's talking about the next fight down the line, because Jan Blachowicz, even though he was a hell of a fighter and defeated him on Saturday night, that wasn't something that was getting him the headlines. That wasn't necessarily going to set him up for a big title shot or a fight with DC or a fight against Volkan. You know what I'm saying? But talking about it, using the reason that people are speaking to him is the Blachowicz fight. That's why journalists are going to speak to him. But then using that to try and set up the next fight doesn't mean you're overlooking your opponent. It means you're being smart. It means you're putting your name out there. It means you're making big statements. It means you're taking headlines. If all he spoke about was him versus Blachowicz, you know, which is relevant, and of course that's what people want to hear about, you know, but you've got to take that opportunity. Okay, I'm doing a media day. I've got the cameras in my face. I've got people asking me questions. Make some statements. Put your name out there. Let everybody know that I haven't given up on being a champion, that I still won those big fights. Doesn't mean he was overlooking him, and I understand the reason for the question. But it also means he was being respectful, but he was just trying to continue to further his career.
I think that's an interesting point because, you know, being a professional mixed martial artist, you know, one part of it, and don't get me wrong, the absolute largest part of it is being able to go in there and fucking kick ass and win your fights. But there's also another very large part of it, which is being a businessman and having the wherewithal to take advantage of those press opportunities, interviews, podcasts, and even if he's 100% obsessed with Blachowicz, he should be taking advantage of the times where he has press in front of his face, and he can take that opportunity to get new fans. You know, I think, you know, sometimes just hearing the same thing over and over and over again, even for a fighter, this happens a lot when we interview guys. You can tell that they've said the same thing over and over again. You can say it's just a talking point, and they've just, it's, you know, just coming out of their mouth and spilling out of their mouth. And I think sometimes, these guys, when they're smart about it, they take the opportunity to start setting up their next fights. They start taking the opportunity to talk about these bigger picture things. And it kind of gets you excited. You look at it as a story. I start to go like, oh shit, where is this guy going to be in a year? Versus like, oh shit, he's fighting this weekend. We know, we've watched all the press on it already.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. So, yeah, I mean, as I said, I don't think he was overlooking him, but that was a good question. Wasn't his night. Blachowicz is a very, very solid opponent. Looked in great shape as well. Looked very, very strong. And, as we saw, fought well. So did Jimmy as well. Jimmy had these good moments as well. So commiserations, and unfortunately, commiserations to you, Lewis, because I have to wrap up this conversation. I know you're devastated. I know you're going to cry yourself to sleep. Shannon, you'll get over it. Don't worry. We'll be back next week. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Believe you me, motherfucker. That guy.
Yeah.
Irrelevant of where the fight takes place, and I think maybe that was just a coincidence. Leon, by the way, did have a great performance at the weekend. Looked sensational against Sabata, really did. Nearly finished him in the first 30 seconds with a great strike. But, good fight, great question. Difficult one to answer as well, but it's all down to one's own mindset. Lewis, comedian's perspective, please.
Well, yeah, I think you kind of nailed it right there. It's about your mindset, and I think that there's no doubt about it. There are I should say this, in anything, when you're trying to perform at a high level, right, whether it's physically or psychologically doing comedy, I've done comedy on TV a few times. I've been under pretty high pressure situations. Any psychological advantage that you have, anything that's going to get you motivated and in your head and ready to fucking fire on all cylinders, there's going to be an obvious benefit. And, maybe it depends on who you are. Like, for me, I know that performing in front of, I remember my ex-girlfriend, my son's mother, her father was in town once, and him watching me perform stand-up comedy really got in my head. Like, it fucked me up, and I was very like, my energy wasn't the same, and I didn't do as well as I would have done because I was kind of overthinking the words I was using. This is a girl that I'm in love with. This is her dad. Seeing me talk about kind of like fucked up subject matter, it didn't really help me in that sense. So I guess it's really both ways. Some people might say, hey, dude, my family's in the crowd. I'm super nervous. That throws me off. I'm sure there's some fighters who would never let their kids watch them fight because that would fuck them up. They're like, my kids are watching me get into a fight right now, and that's going to put me off. And then there are other people who look at it as this huge motivating factor. And I think it's about how you use your motivation. Some people like to pray before they go on stage or before they go into the cage. Some people like to, they wear their lucky color shorts or their lucky underwear. There's, that placebo effect, that's a very real thing. And if you feel lucky and you feel psychologically ready, it's only going to be an advantage for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you just said there, it can be massively beneficial, but it can also be the other way. It can also be a hindrance. It can also be a negative thing because if, for example, let's use fighting, you're walking out into an arena, let's say there's 20,000 people there, and they're all cheering and they're all wanting you to win, or the high percentage of them. Some people, if they can't handle that correctly, that can have a massive negative effect. They get so nervous and they just get owned by it. Fortunately, that's where experience comes into play. That's why you build to these situations, and sometimes, certainly in MMA, you see guys maybe going a step too far when they're not ready for that kind of thing, so that's why you're going to take it baby steps, start at smaller arenas, work your way up, but then you see sometimes guys have only had 6-7 fights and they're fighting in front of 20,000 people. That's daunting. That can really consume you. Should we do one more?
One more and then we'll wrap it up. Thanks so much for the questions. Hi, Mike and Lewis, big fan of the pod. My question is for Mike. You have said Jimmy Manuwa had worked ridiculously hard for this fight with Blachowicz, but from what I saw in his interviews, I felt that he was overlooking him regularly, calling out a rematch with Volkan. I thought this was the same in his previous fight against Volkan, where he constantly called out DC but overlooked Volkan. Both obviously are fights he lost. How do you feel about this, and do you think you should always look for what's next, or is it one step at a time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they always say never overlook your opponent. And I'm sure he wasn't doing that. And I did say he was training hard from what I saw on Instagram and social media. And we shared the same manager. He was pushing himself, doing everything he can, making the sacrifices, flying out to Sweden to train with Gustafsson and his whole team there. So he was certainly doing everything he needed. So he wasn't overlooking him. Now, I understand why he's talking about the next fight down the line, because Jan Blachowicz, even though he was a hell of a fighter and defeated him on Saturday night, that wasn't something that was getting him the headlines. That wasn't necessarily going to set him up for a big title shot or a fight with DC or a fight against Vulcan. You know what I'm saying? But talking about it, using the reason that people are speaking to him is the Blachowicz fight. That's why journalists are going to speak to him. But then using that to try and set up the next fight doesn't mean you're overlooking your opponent. It means you're being smart. It means you're putting your name out there. It means you're making big statements. It means you're taking headlines. If all he spoke about was him versus Blachowicz, you know, which is relevant, and of course that's what people want to hear about, you know. But you've got to take that opportunity. Okay, I'm doing a media day. I've got the cameras in my face. I've got people asking me questions. Make some statements. Put your name out there. Let everybody know that I haven't given up on being a champion, that I still want those big fights. Doesn't mean he was overlooking him, and I understand the reason for the question. But it also means though, he was being respectful, but he was just trying to continue to further his career.
I think that's an interesting point because, you know, being a professional mixed martial artist, you know, one part of it, and don't get me wrong, the absolute largest part of it is being able to go in there and fucking kick ass and win your fights. But there's also another very large part of it, which is being a businessman and having the wherewithal to take advantage of those press opportunities, interviews, podcasts, and even if he's 100% obsessed with Blachowicz, he should be taking advantage of the times where he has press in front of his face, and he can take that opportunity to get new fans. You know, I think, you know, sometimes just hearing the same thing over and over and over again, even for a fighter, this happens a lot when we interview guys. You can tell that they've said the same thing over and over again. You can say it's just a talking point, and they've just, it's, you know, just coming out of their mouth and spilling out of their mouth. And I think sometimes, you know, these guys, when they're smart about it, they take the opportunity to start setting up their next fights. They start taking the opportunity to talk about these bigger picture things. And it kind of gets you excited. You look at it as a story. I start to go like, oh shit, where is this guy going to be in a year? Versus like, oh shit, he's fighting this weekend. We know, we've watched all the press on it already.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. So, yeah, I mean, as I said, I don't think he was overlooking him, but that was a good question. Wasn't his night. You know, Blachowicz is a very, very solid opponent. Looked in great shape as well. Looked very, very strong. And, you know, as we saw, fought well. So did Jimmy as well. Jimmy had these good moments as well. So commiserations, and unfortunately, commiserations to you, Lewis, because I have to wrap up this conversation. I know you're devastated. I know you're going to cry yourself to sleep. Shannon, you'll get over it. Don't worry. We'll be back next week. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Believe you me, motherfucker.
Bigger picture things, and it kind of gets you excited. You look at it as a story. I start to go like, oh shit, where is this guy going to be in a year? Versus like, oh shit, he's fighting this weekend. We know, we've watched all the press on it already.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. So, yeah, I mean, as I said, I don't think he was overlooking him, but that was a good question. Wasn't his night. You know, Blachowicz is a very, very solid opponent. Looked in great shape as well. Looked very, very strong. And, you know, as we saw, fought well. So did Jimmy as well. Jimmy had these good moments as well. So commiserations, and unfortunately, commiserations to you, Lewis, because I have to wrap up this conversation. I know you're devastated. I know you're going to cry yourself to sleep. Shannon, you'll get over it. Don't worry. We'll be back next week. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Believe you me, motherfucker. Don't worry. We'll be back next week. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Believe you me, motherfucker.